Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to install locally on your PC the Hunyuan 3D 2.0, which is an image to 3D model that you can open up in Blender. Right here in Hugging Face you could actually test this model if you go up here to Spaces, and I already have a tab open, and just type in Hunyuan 2.0 3D. You click here. You have to be signed in into huggingface.co. You can upload an image and you could generate a shape out of it. This is where you could actually test it. But now, if you're here and you want to install this locally on your machine, I'm going to be walking you through setting this up locally. And you need some prerequisites before we could start. And we're going to follow the instructions here that says install requirements. So I'm going to be walking you through all of this and getting it running locally on your PC. Now, I mentioned the requisites. You have to have certain tools pre-installed before you could git clone or copy this repository where the Hunyuan 3D has been uploaded. In my particular case, I have an Intel Core i9-14900K running at 3.2 gigahertz with 128 gigabytes of RAM and an Nvidia graphics card 4770 Ti as the time of this recording. Okay, and now what else do you need? Let's go ahead and open up a command prompt here. Before you download this, you should have Python and Python, so you should be able to type in version. The specific version is Python 3.11. This last number doesn't matter, but a 3.11. Why? Because this one is compatible with PyTorch and with the CUDA toolkit, which is a prerequisite that is required. A lot of people, what they do is they go straight to Python's website and they download the latest. But in this particular case, if you download um, the 3.11 version to run specifically this model locally, you should not have a problem. I'm basically trying to evade any compile problems when you're building this project. So the best version to run this, if you know how to create virtual environments, go ahead. If not, uninstall, remove from path, and make sure you have Python 3.11 for this project. The next thing we need is a CUDA toolkit. Okay, so to test it, open up your command prompt. Just type in nvcc-version. You can see here that my CUDA version is 12.4 as the time of recording this video. 12.4. When you go to the CUDA toolkit, you need 12.4. You could Google it. In my case, the Windows operating system, this is the architecture. Windows 11 exe local download 3 gigabytes and install that. You're going to have to restart your computer. Once you restart your computer, simply come back to the command prompt and type in nvcc-version and you should get this prompt appear. Alright, so now you have Python, CUDA install. The next thing after you have those installed is the PyTorch, which is a package that is needed as a foundation to run this. So here I have the link in the description, pytorch.org. To start this locally, this is the web URL. You want to build PyTorch build the stable version on a Windows running pip, and we could test that. Just type in pip minus version. Alright, you have to have pip installed, which should come installed when you install Python. Pip, language Python, CUDA 12.4. Now, what a lot of people do, the mistake is they go to CUDA toolkit, and obviously there's a newer version, but you have to match the version that's only available. PyTorch currently supports 12.4. Later in the future, it keeps going up, but this is the latest that it supports. So that's why you have to install the correct CUDA toolkit 12.4 to match PyTorch, or else nothing's going to work. So you go ahead and copy this command and you simply paste it into your terminal. Oops, I didn't copy it correctly. Paste it into your terminal, and that's going to install that. It's already installed on my system. I'm not going to do it. Alright, so now we have that out of the way. We have Python, CUDA, PyTorch to this point. The next thing that is necessary in order to download, if you go over here to files and versions, you could copy this whole repository locally on your PC. In order to accomplish that, we need to install Git in order to download this repository, and we have to set up a token on this website, and that's what we're going to do next. Now, another thing that we need to check for, we were talking about copying this repository, setting up, you should already have an account with Hugging Face. If you have a GitHub account, you could sign in, or you could create an account with them. The next thing I forgot to mention is make sure you have Git installed. Type in git -version. If you get an error here, then go to the git-scm.com/downloads and download the Windows install, restart your PC, come back to the terminal and type in that command, and you should have the latest Git version. Now let's go ahead and make a new directory on our desktop and download the repository. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and cd into my desktop, make a directory, I'll call it Hung2, and cd into that folder. And I'll go ahead and put it up here in the corner so you can visualize it. Now, we need the repository in order so we could run this locally. Now, the instructions are on this page, but the actual repo that we need to run the local version is on GitHub. I'll put the link, and it's under Tencent. It's actually under the same name, Tencent Hunyuan3D-2, Tencent Hunyuan3D-2, the same name, but on GitHub. We want to copy this URL, go back into our terminal. We're inside our folder, and we want to type in git clone. Give it a second to download and copy everything. Once it's done, let's go ahead and visualize that folder by opening up this folder here. Let me drag this into view. You should have this folder. Alright, we are 60% there. Before we could run this file here, the Gradio App.py, there's a couple things we need to do. We have to install this Gradio app, which gives you a user interface to interact very similar to the one in Spaces for Hugging Face on your local machine. Now, let's go back into the instructions here. Go down here. Installation requirements. We have to run these commands, okay? So let's go back to our terminal. I'll move it out of the way here. Let me go ahead and go into my directory. I'll cd into the Hunyuan3D folder. Let's clear here. We have to install pip install requirements.txt. Okay, so let's visualize that to make sure we have that in here. This right here, requirements.txt file, is inside that folder. So all we do here is we copy that pip install and go ahead and paste it into the terminal and run that. That's going to run and install all the packages we need as the base. Next, we want to go into this folder, the high 3D Gen Text Gen Custom Rasterizers. Let's go ahead and visualize this here. This is the folder that is making reference to Text Gen Custom Rasterizers, and we want to run this file. In order to run that, we have to move that inside our terminal. So let's go ahead and move this up here so you guys can visualize this, how it's done. This is my target folder. We're going to go into CD, HY tab, CD text gen tab, so it auto completes, and CD custom rasterizer tab. Cool. So now we're in the same folder. Now the next thing we want to run. Now here it says Python 3. You just have to run Python by itself. So let's go back to our terminal. Just run Python space setup py install, enter, and it's gonna go ahead and install that. This might take a while, so just give it a second. I'll let it run here while it finishes it. Now any errors you get, copy the end portion into a notepad just in case that happens. It shouldn't, because if you remember, we should have Python 3.11 installed. We should have CUDA Toolkit 12.4 installed, and we should have PyTorch installed. Hey, this is the future me while I'm editing this video, and I'm pausing the video here just to let you know that it's important that you have the Visual Studio build tools installed prior to installing those custom restoration and that other folder inside your Python build. Okay, so here this next clip is just me walking you through, double checking you have that installed. Make sure I'll put it in the description, the link, and make sure that you have that installed before proceeding. Now, if you do get errors, another thing I want to mention is that you should have, it would tell you down here if you need a special build tool like Microsoft 14.net build tool. You would have to have that installed beforehand. Let me show you here, control panel. Oops, wrong folder. Control panel, uninstall program. Alright, let me show you my program here. This one right here, Visual Studio Build Tools 2022. Okay, so if you get any errors that says here, hey, you need special build tools, what it is, in order to compile some of these tools, it needs the build tools in here to run that script. Another way you could run that test, just type in CL, for example. Let me clear this so you could visualize this better. CL is one of those, it's cl.exe is one of those build tools. So if I type in CL, it says Microsoft Optimized Compiler version 1942. You see usage option, okay? So CL. If you type in CL in your command prompt and you don't have it, it's because you have to install Visual Studio Build Tools 2022. And I did that yesterday. This is what you want to see. Make sure that that's installed correctly. Now we want to get out of that. That's why it's saying CD back into the original folder. We could do that here. We're inside the main folder. We could go into HY3D gen, CD into text gen, CD into differentiable render. And now here, we're not going to run the bash command. We're going to run Python setup install the same way we did here. So Python, let me spell it correctly, setup tab install. So those two folders, the differential and the custom rasterizer, both need to run the Python setup command in its respective folder. We have built this custom rasterizer and we built this differential renderer. So both of those are done now. Now we're not going to use the API. We're going to go down here. Let me remember what we're doing. We're going to use the Gradio App version here. Now, before we run the tool, we have to copy this right here. Pip install Gradio 3.39. Go back into our terminal. Go back into the main folder. Okay, that's the top level directory of our Hunyuan3D-2 We paste pip install Gradio 39, let this complete. Once it has completed, right, this, you should get something similar here. Now we run the Python Gradio App 3.1. Now we're going to actually run the app. So before we run the app, you shouldn't have any errors. Just to recap, you should have Python version 3.6 to this point, nvcc-version. The CUDA should be installed. We could test, make sure that PyTorch is correctly installed by typing in Python. In here, we're going to type in import torch, for example. You shouldn't get any errors. If you get a blank line, it should import correctly. We could run a test by calling rand.rand, and we'll pass a number here. And you should be able to get tensors, meaning that this package is installed correctly. Let's go ahead and exit this. So now, the moment of truth, we're going to actually go into our main folder, and we're going to run the gradual underscore app.py. It's gonna, for the first time it runs, this is the key part, it's going to download all the models, okay? So in my case, since I already have this installed, I don't want the models to be downloaded twice. So I'm gonna go into my folder that I already created this project. cd cd into Hunyuan. Okay, so inside my folder where I already have this built, now I'm gonna run the Python 3, not 3, just Python, and then the Gradio app, which is here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do it here. We're gonna type in Python Gradio app py. Press enter and give it a second to load up here. There we go. This is the screen you want to see. It's saying that the server process has started up and it's running on 8080. Let's go ahead and test that by moving this out of the way. Let's go ahead and close some of these out. We're going to type in localhost slash colon 8080. Boom, and we have our application running. Great. This is exactly what you want to see here on the screen. Now the next test here, let's go ahead and generate something here. So let me upload an image. Let's say we want to build this shield in 3D. Now I'm going to hit generate. This timer is going to start. Let me show you the terminal. And this is what the terminal says, that a project has been initiated. And it's going to start sampling this and creating it. So I'm going to pause the video here and I'll show you the results once it's done rendering this image right here. Okay, now we're going to see the final product of the little test we ran. Inside your Hunyuan3D-2 folder, it's going to generate Gradio underscore cache. And it's going to put a folder where your 3D model is created. Let's go ahead and open up Blender here. I have Blender open. Let's go ahead and do a file import. We're going to import a GBL extension. Let's go ahead and to our desktop. And I'm going to go into my folder, 3D, the cache folder, right in the, and we're going to open up this texture mesh here. Boom. Alright, so we have our shield generated. Obviously there's a couple errors down here because it's not perfect. If you know a little bit about Blender, you could fix this by getting rid of this right here. But overall, for 30 steps, it did a pretty decent job into turning that image into an actual 3D object that we could work in. That's the end of this tutorial. I want to thank you for sticking around. Please, if you found this video useful, give me a like, subscribe with any channel that you have, so you guys can help me get to 5,000 subscribers. Now, any issues that you might have, put the timestamp, this timestamp right now, whatever the timestamp is in the video, showing that you made it this far into the tutorial, and place your question and I'll give those priority. So again, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully everything was as clear. I know this video was a little bit lengthy. Um, was clear enough for you to get this project going. And I'll see you in the next video.